It's an ambush.
Oh my God, it's an ambush!
It's an ambush!
Of course!
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to an ambush stream, an ambush ranty stream. Ranty stream about something that I care about very much. Vampires. Or specifically, Vampire the Masquerade, at least the classic version of such. Not that big on or all that familiar with the current version that they've made of the books, but I am a old school, dyed-in-the-wool Vampire the Masquerade fan. And so several years ago, around about 2019 I think it was, when it was announced that there would be a sequel made for Bloodlines, one of not only the best Vampire the Masquerade games made, granted there's only been a couple. Well, I don't count those visual diary things. But also one of the best computer RPGs ever made. I think up next to, say, Knights of the Old Republic or Knights of the Old Republic 2, Vampire Bloodlines is usually fairly top of the heap, for role-playing games. And, well, the game went into some development hell for many, many years now. And now it's finally coming out, and all the rumors and all the previous statements. You know, when a game is announced and then years and years go by and you think, okay, well, what they said at the beginning may not be how it is at the end. Well, now we have an official release date. Now we have all the official details coming out. And it's not looking good. And I'm going to tell you why. But first, who's joining me on this beautiful Wednesday evening? Kiro Soldier, good evening. Miranda Stone is here. Guys, I don't know if you know about Miranda Stone, but let me tell you. Sabian 187, hello. Attack Alpaca, good evening. Who else is here? Shady Grin, hello. The Best Remy, good evening. The Dead Man, hello. Spoonie the Rebel, hello. And anybody that I missed, anybody lurking, anybody in the future. Okay, so, for those of you that do not know, Vampire the Masquerade started out as a tabletop role-playing game. It originally came out, I want to say in the mid-90s, 95, something like that, 93. Hard to say. I do own a copy of the first edition core book, collector's item. I don't actually have a copy of the second edition, but the most well-known version was Third Ed, as it's called. The third edition of Vampire the Masquerade was my very first foray into it. And the world of Vampire the Masquerade deals with, well, vampires. It is split up into a number of different clans of vampires. Bloodlines, if you might say, all originating from Cain, of the Bible Cain. Cain was the first vampire. He was cursed by God for his murder of Abel, to walk the earth forever, only to be able to survive on the blood of his brethren, as this story goes. Cain with an E, not Cain with a no E. And over the course of millennia, various children were made from Cain, so that he was not to be lonely. And then these children made children. But then the children of the children got jealous, get power hungry, thought they weren't being treated right or whatever, and so the children of the children killed their progenitors who were the best friends of grandfather Cain, and Cain didn't like this very much. So he cursed each of the children, each one cursed with a different malady, let's say. And this malady would follow down through all of their children and their children's children, each bloodline of the proverbial 13. There's probably more. And so these turned into clans, because each clan ended up having its own sort of philosophy, its own quirks, its own weaknesses, its own strengths, as passed down by its rebellious progenitor, or antediluvian. And so that's where you start out the game. They don't have classes in this game like you would Dungeons & Dragons. They have different clans, and each clan, like I say, has a different philosophy, a different outlook on things, has a different power set. They have their own history. It's all very interesting stuff. Lots and lots of lore. And at the time that I got into it, it felt very taboo. Of course, I was like a teenager at the time. And this game built up a gigantic following and community around the world with tabletop games and live-action role-playing games, people dressing up as vampires and doing effectively impromptu theater to play their characters. So it was no particular surprise that at some point somebody said, "Hey, we should make a video game out of this." And then back in, I think it was 1999 or 2000, thereabouts, they did. And it was called Vampire the Masquerade Redemption. Now, in Vampire the Masquerade Redemption, you take on the role of a set character from the Dark Ages, a fancified Dark Ages, a set character named Christoph Romuald. And Christoph Romuald is a crusader. And he ends up in a whole adventure of evil nighttime creatures and conspiracies and battles throughout the ages. It's a point-and-click kind of role-playing game. It's kind of built around the Diablo engine, so you're kind of moving around a universe. You got some companions. It's classic. It's great. The writing is wonderful. The voice acting is wonderful. The amount of lore that it relays to you, if you're not familiar with the setting, is actually pretty good, all things considered. It's got some cheesiness. It's got some old-school jank to it, sure, but it's still beloved and still plays today. You can get it on Steam or GOG. And I still play it once in a blue moon, just for the heck of it, just for some nostalgia. Well, this game was beloved. It's one of the better sort of role-playing games of the late 90s, early 2000s. But a few years later, they decided, hey, we should make a new vampire game. A better one. Because in this game, you have a set character with a set storyline. Of course, it's very linear. There are some mild role-playing choices to make here and there. There are multiple endings, so depending on what you do and how you decide to do it, you can come up with a different outcome. But you play as Christoph. The clan that you are embraced to is set, so not set. You're not a setite. You're a Bruja, or Bruja, as they say in the game. And that's fine. You know, there's nothing pretending about it. You play a set character with a set name. The customization is all statistical based as you go on. You can customize the stats of your companions as you go, and it was great. I thought it was great. Anyway, so about a few years later, around about 2003, 2004, they decided, hey, let's make a new game. Let's make a better game. Let's make a game that's even more on point with the tabletop role-playing game. And they made Bloodlines. Oh my gosh, Bloodlines. In Bloodlines, if you can believe it, you have the option to create a character in a limited capacity. You can't really choose appearance, save for male and female. That is limited, although there have been mods since then where you can kind of change things up. But you can pick a character from one of the 7 primary clans in the game. And again, each clan has its own backstory, its own power set, its own weaknesses and strengths. You can be a Nosferatu, which is one of the eternally ugly creatures that have to hide themselves from the sight of mortals. You could be one of the Tremere, the blood sorcerers with their own pyramid of power. You could be a Malkavian, one of the insane vampires with particular insight into the world. The Ventru, who are the kings of the vampires, and so on and so forth. Depending on which clan you picked and what decisions you made, you could have a completely different experience every time you played it. There were so many branches. Now, the one thing that did happen with Bloodlines is that it was an amazing game made by people who really appreciated the game itself, the source material, and the setting, and made it all fit in. But there were production issues because it was a rushed game. They weren't given enough time by Activision, those jerkwads, to do all the polish that they wanted to do and add in all the things that they wanted to do. So the eventual product released at first was a buggy mess, it's true. And people will say this now. It's like, oh, when Bloodlines was released, it was a buggy mess. Well, yeah, it was a buggy mess, but not for want of trying and not for want of passion for the material. And incredibly enough, the strength of the game, its writing, its characters, its setting was enough to create such a fan base for it that to this day, there are ongoing modification projects for it. There's an ongoing, continually updated, amazingly enough, after nearly 25 years, or pardon me, 20 years, of a unofficial patch that has been created. If you've recently seen the Down the Rabbit Hole documentary on the Skyrim patch, which if you haven't seen that already, go watch that documentary. It's amazing. But akin to that is the Bloodlines unofficial patch, which has been iterated over again and again and again by the same guy and the same team for nigh on 20 years now. And it's basically, fixing every bug in there, re-adding some content. It's great. So at this point, if you buy Bloodlines and you download the unofficial patch and put it in there, you've essentially got more than your money's worth. And Bloodlines is a great game. I mean, it just is. People make a joke about it. It's like, if somebody talks about Bloodlines, somebody somewhere is reinstalling Bloodlines to play it again. It's just that good. Well, and then we thought, gosh, wouldn't it be great if there was more of this? More Bloodlines. I mean, there's so many options in that game of what you can do and how you can do it. So many ways to solve different problems through the environment, through role-playing, through listening to what certain characters say, to listening what some characters don't say, making connections between things. You're really in the world. It's very immersive. Well, the people who bought the game studio that owned Vampire the Masquerade White Wolf, Paradox Entertainment, roundabouts, I want to say it was 2008, 2009, somewhere in there. Someone can correct me. But anyway, in the mid-2000s, they announced that they were going to do a World of Darkness Online. It was going to be an MMORPG, reportedly combining at least the Vampire the Masquerade property and likely some of the other properties under the White Wolf banner, like Werewolf the Apocalypse and Wraith and the Mage and everything else. Excuse me. And we were all excited for that. Oh my gosh, an MMO about vampire. Oh my gosh, we're so excited. At the time, though, I kept thinking to myself, how are they going to do the day-night cycle for that? How are you going to play a vampire if, there's actual time going by? And, do you have a ghoul that you're playing during the daytime and a vampire that you play at night? Or is there going to be a nighttime hub and a daytime hub, sort of like how DC Superheroes Online has sort of a Gotham hub, which is always nighttime, and a Metropolis hub that's a daytime? I don't know. Anyway, that never happened. That turned into development hell and never came out. But then there were rumors. Rumors that went on for years and years and years and years. A Bloodlines 2. Oh my gosh, could they do a sequel to Bloodlines and make it, Bloodlines? And roundabouts 2019, they announced there would be a new Bloodlines game. So let me pull that up real quick. Because there's a little, and I'm giving it in the broad strokes here, guys. Broad strokes. My history lessons on this aren't perfect, but I'll give it in the broad strokes. So when Bloodlines 2 was first announced, you could do pre-order. You had to pay something like $60 or something. And here's the story that they promised. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with the lore, I understand this is going to sound a bunch of silliness, but trust me, it is silliness. But not just silliness for the sake of being, nerdy silliness, but for the sake of the setting, it's silliness. So the original plan for Bloodlines 2 was that you would take on the role of not a member of a clan, per se, but rather a thin blood. Now, Scribe, you might ask, what the hell is a thin blood? Well, let me tell you. Okay, so as each vampire begets another vampire, that vampire is thus one generation beyond their sire. And with each successive generation, of a vampire making another vampire, the bloodline, so to speak, thins out. And once you reach about 14 to 15 generations from Cain, the blood of the vampire within the veins of the begotten vampire is so thin that it is kind of almost not really there. It's basically very weak. And in the lore and legends of the vampires, it is said that when the bloodlines become so winnowed as to be weakened, that those vampires who are thin bloods are portents of the end of the world. As in, if you find a thin blood, the thing you should do is kill it. Because the legends and the prophecies say that it shall be the thin bloods who help usher in the end of all things. Now, whether or not this is true, there are suspicious enough vampires to say, just to be on the safe side, let's not make any more vampires down a particular generation of bloodline than is absolutely necessary. So the original plan for Bloodlines 2 is you were going to take on the role of a thin blood with all of your kooky, weird powers that didn't match up with any other clan powers, really. And you were going to go around Seattle and have an adventure in Seattle as a thin blood around a whole bunch of vampires who are established within identifiable clans. And somehow you weren't going to be killed outright as a portent of the end of the world. I thought this was a stupid idea. As soon as I found that out, it was said that at some point in the game you would have the opportunity to, quote-unquote, join a clan. The problem is, if your blood is so thin that it is not recognizable by anybody as being part of a clan, if you're effectively clanless, joining a clan just means you effectively become a redheaded stepchild amongst a whole bunch of other established vampires. It just didn't make any sense to me. And so what I saw at the time looked more like an action game than it looked like a role-playing game. It was a FPS, not an RPG. And I was wary. I was thinking, oh man. And this was kind of before, just on the cusp of worrying about video games being completely taken over by wokeism, save for the fact that in the time between 3rd edition and what would eventually become 5th edition of the role-playing game itself, the tabletop game, the company and the people making Vampire had gone the way of the woke. And so I was concerned. I was like, are they going to base this off of 3rd edition, like the original Bloodlines was, or is it going to be 5th edition with its nonsense and political correctness and softening of things? Oh, man. But then Bloodlines 2 went into development hell. The original developer, Hard Suit Labs, kind of petered out, and Paradox effectively fired them, and the game went into stasis for several years. It was recently, relatively, picked up by a different developer named Chinese Room, and Chinese Room is known for walking simulators like Dear Esther, and sort of visual novel type games. And this concerned me because what little Vampire the Masquerade fodder has come out in the intervening years has been mostly visual novel stuff. I did a whole playthrough of one of them, Coteries of New York, over on my non-author Dark channel way back in the day. I can't tell you how exciting it is, because it's not that exciting. I wasn't that impressed with it. But I gave it a shot. But this would be the first full-fledged successor to Bloodlines, one of the greatest computer RPGs ever made. Now, what have they decided to do? What ultimately did they decide to do with this game? I'll tell you in a second. First, NPC 7Billions464. Hello. K. Roberts. Good evening. Let's see, who else is here? Osan, hello. Anybody else I missed? Special Emissary, hello. And Mike R., good evening. I miss anybody else? I hope not. I don't think so. But if you're here and I missed you, please make yourself known. So Bloodlines 2 from Chinese Room, what have they done? Well, they've kind of taken the worst of all worlds, in a way. So, everything I'm about to relay is my understanding of things as of right now. Maybe they're going to reveal something more, but we shall see. The release date for this is purportedly October 21st of this year, so just a couple of months away. just in time for Halloween. So, in this game, you play as a set character. You can choose your gender. You can either be what passes for male, or you can be female. I think both options kind of look like you're a 1998 lesbian, but that's maybe just my opinion. Hopefully there are more options that dress it up a bit. Anyway, but you have a set name. Your name is Fire. Fire, you say? Oh, you mean like one of the elements? No. It's cooler than that. It's spelled P-H-Y-R-E. You are fire, guys. That's fire. When somebody sees you come in a room, they say, hey, that's fire. Doesn't that sound great? So you can't change your name. You can change your gender. Great. What else? Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, this game is called Bloodlines, right? This game is called Bloodlines. Well, how many Bloodlines can you pick in this game from? I mean, the first game, the game from 2003, had, let's see if I'm doing them off the top of my head. It had Brujah, and Ventru, and Gangrel, and Tremere, and Nosferatu, and Malkavian, and who am I missing? Toreador. Seven clans to choose from. These 7 major clans from the tabletop game. Or the 7 Camarilla clans, if you want to get more specific about it. That's like 7 different options, 7 different ways to play the game, 7 different admittedly, some storylines that were clan specific in the game were stronger than others, but later patches and add-ons by fans fleshed that out quite a bit. How many do you get to choose from in this game? 4. Now you get to pick from 4. 4 clans. Oh, sorry. No, I mean I take it back. It's a total of 6. So long as you are willing to pay for DLC on day 1, you can play as either a Lasombra or a Toreador. In addition to, what was it? Tremere, Ventru, Brujah, or the Banu Hakim, which is the 5th edition's gussied up version of the Assamites. I'm not going to go into that. It's stupid. But yeah, so they're going to have paid DLC. Here's your different experiences. If you buy the standard edition, you get the base game. That's it. If you buy the deluxe edition, you get the base game, and you get a bunch of decorations for your haven that are all nostalgia bait for the first Bloodlines game. And then if you get the premium edition, then you get the game, all the decorations for your haven, and you can have 2 more clans to play. Oh, but wait, there's more. There's more. If you pre-order, you also get a nostalgia jukebox with music from the first game. And the music from the first game is great. Yeah. Now, what else happens in this game? Well, you're not actually playing by yourself. And the setup for the game is also bizarre as all hell. How does this work? Well, in the first iteration of this game, you're playing as a thin blood. Literally the lowest on the totem pole in vampire society. I mean, you are a pariah simply for existing. And nobody likes you. Everybody hates you. You might as well go eat worms. Well, I mean, when they decided to redo the game from the ground up, more or less, they decided to go on the opposite end of the spectrum. You start out as a 400-year-old elder vampire who's waking up after 100 years sleeping for reasons. And now, even though you're a 400-year-old vampire, you still have to get XP to build up your stats, except from the jump, and I have seen some demo gameplay on this, from the jump, you are powerful enough to punch human beings across the room and tear their heads off. Make guns float around and stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a second. An elder vampire wakes up after 100 years of sleep, is too weak to fend for themselves because they have XP to build up, but strong enough to tear people apart, where's the progression? Where's the fun? Where's the build-up? Part of the fun of most role-playing games is you start out low and you have goals. You have things to achieve, like building up your stats or finding that cool item or increasing your this, that, or the other. If you start off as a powerful elder, where do you go? How does this work? And if you are in such a weakened state that you're not quite at your full self, you have to relearn how to be a 400-year-old super elder powerful vampire. Why hasn't someone, or why doesn't someone early on in the game simply diablerize you? Now, what is diablery, you ask? Well, that's when a vampire feasts upon another vampire to the point where they completely take all the blood out of an elder vampire. And when that happens, you take on their power. You become more powerful. The blood in your system becomes more potent for having feasted upon an elder. Now, it is not something that is looked upon kindly, obviously. But if you can get away with it, you can get away with it. So on the one end, you'd be playing a thin blood that should be slaughtered outright. On the other end, you're playing a nerfed elder who's somehow not going to be eaten outright. And then you have to have this, anachronism out of time storyline, fish out of water thing going on. But that's not all. No, that's not all. Wait, there's more. Your name is set. Your storyline is set. You can change your gender. You can pick from your 4 clans plus a paid DLC. But you also have an inborn narrator. Yes, you have a spirit guide when you start out this game, an internal exposition machine for you to guide you through this world. You have the ghost or the soul shard or something of a Malkavian detective. Yes, you have your own Humphrey Bogart, your own Nick Valentine stuck in your head, giving you information and telling you what to do. But it's not just that. At some point in the game, you get to play as this character in order to take a flashback to the 1920s in order to have an adventure as this character. This completely set and static character that you have no choice, seemingly, but to play as for a good chunk of the game. It's totally not filler content to distract from the fact that you have such limited options in both roleplay and exploration in this world, seemingly. No, it's great. You're not being penned in at all. Anyway, this is all good stuff, guys. This is worth the, what are they asking for this thing? Right, $89.99. For the premium edition, $89.99. If you just want the base game, you want the base game without the apartment aesthetics and without the 2 extra clans, which should be part of a game called Bloodlines in the first place, you only have to pay $60. All right, $60 for this. I am not impressed. Oh, and something else. I don't have the pictures here. And for those of you not indoctrinated into the lore of the vampire clans and everything, it won't really matter so much. But they spell out on these little cards what discipline sets. Disciplines are the individual powers that different vampire clans have. And classically speaking, each clan has a set number of 3 sort of native powers. For the Ventru, it's Dominate, Fortitude, and Presence. For the Bruja, it is Potence, Celerity, and Presence, etc. Well, some of the clans in this game only have 2 discipline sets that they get to choose from. It's kind of weird. For example, the Tremere classically have Dominate, Thaumaturgy, and Auspex. Dominate is the control of people's minds, kind of hypnotism. I look into your eyes, you're feeling sleepy, that kind of thing. Thaumaturgy is blood magic, which is unique to the Tremere. And then Auspex is, depending on what level or what interpretation of it is heightened senses. You can see things in the dark. You can detect things more readily. You can extend your consciousness out to explore the world more. Auspex does not exist in this game. The Tremere that should have it, don't have it. The Toreador, who should have it, don't have it. Why? Well, apparently seeing or being able to detect people through walls or other things is just part and parcel with basic game mechanics now, so they decided to just take it out of the game entirely. And you might say, well, that's kind of a small thing. Somebody on Reddit was like, well, golly gee whiz, what are you complaining about? You're a 400-year-old vampire. Of course this vampire is already going to know some things that aren't necessarily in their power set. And I'm like, that's not the point. The point is, the whole idea behind different clans having different power sets or weaknesses and so on is that it pushes you into a particular type of gameplay and also forces you to, oftentimes, as it was in Bloodlines the first game, solve problems differently depending on what your limitations were or what your strengths were. And so if everybody has Auspex, then you kind of dilute the uniqueness of playing a specific clan versus another clan. You take away a whole potential avenue of storytelling or role-playing. You know, if a Brujah that are more built for combat and brawn over brain, well, if they have Auspex, then that doesn't make them all that much different from a Toreador. Almost not at all. At least power set-wise. And also, think of the role-playing possibilities. If you're a brawny character and you encounter another PC or something, or NPC, and you're trying to have a conversation with them, and you don't have the inherent ability to detect whether their heart's beating a little faster, or if you can't smell the sweat on them as they're nervous and talking to you, versus a Toreador that has Auspex and is much more sociable. And in those instances, they might not be able to hit as hard, but they might be able to detect something a Brujah would not. All these options go out the window once you start homogenizing this stuff. But then, of course, that would require this game to be a role-playing game. The problem is, nearly every piece of media I have watched of this, every little demo video, doesn't show a whole lot of roleplay. It shows a lot of fisticuffs and tearing of heads and such. I have a concern, at least abstractly, because I have no plans on buying this. This is, like I said before, this is more FPS than RPG. And it's kind of sad. Now, I want to say ahead of time, I don't really blame the Chinese Room, the developers of this game, for this. I mean, they were handed an absolute mess, right? A game that was in complete development hell. They were handed this project and told to make something out of it. So they were probably working within budget constraints and time limits and, technical constraints that probably weren't their best wishes for this. But this is the product that they're putting out. This is the product that Paradox has put their stamp on, and this is what it is. And it looks awful. It just, as compared to its predecessors. If you're going to make a game with a completely static character and storyline like Redemption, then go full bore and make no apologies. If you're going to make a game where you get to choose and have choices as to what you're playing and how you're playing and different options to solve problems, then you have to go that all the way. You can't do half and half and make it worthwhile, especially as the successor to one of the best computer RPGs ever. How is it that the sequel has fewer options in character creation than the original? You know what this feels like? You guys ever play Dragon Age 2? That's what this feels like. Dragon Age 1, how did that go? Oh my gosh, you could pick from different classes, you could change your appearance, you pick different races with different origins, as in Dragon Age Origins. All types of variety. Dragon Age 2, well, you had a set character with a set name. You could pick your gender, you could change some of the aesthetic things about him, but the storyline was static, and no matter what class you picked, it was all kind of bleh. This is the Dragon Age 2 of the Vampire the Masquerade video game universe, as far as I'm concerned. DD Juvas. And no Gangrel. Yep, no Gangrel, no Fortitude, no Protean. None for you. Malachi D. Wildman, FPS versus third-person vampire games. I don't even know if there's a third-person option in this. Every, as far as I can tell, save from the conversations where you're actually interacting with another character, all of the exploring the world stuff was all first-person. You know, at least in Bloodlines, you could zoom out and see your character walking around. That was always fun. Timothy Armstrong, isn't it true this game was in development held from 7 to 9 years? Yeah, it was, well, I mean, it was first announced in, I want to say it was 2018 or 2019. It was supposed to have a 2020 release date. And then it went into, yeah, so for around about 7 to 9 years, it might have been in development up to this point. But yeah, it was in development hell for at least 5 or 6 years after it was first announced. Tarkata, what up? Well, me at this hour. Kira Soldier, I must be prophetic. I declared earlier that this was a ranting stream and we were missing Monkey, and we have a Ranting Monkey now. Wait, is Ranting Monkey here? Did I miss Ranting Monkey? Monkey! Monkey, monkey, monkey. I don't know if you know anything about Vampire the Masquerade Monkey. If you're still here, you want to come on? Maybe I need a co-pilot on this to focus my irritant. Let's see. K. Scholl, hello. And Kirsten Scholl, guys, is over on the X Machine. Yes, I am simulcasting over on the X Machine. So if you happen to be over on there and you see this streaming, by all means, retweet it out. Timothy, I have also heard this game is locked story content between a $22 day, one paid DLC. Yes, the DLC. Here, let me pull that up real quick just for focus purposes here. I have that as its own image. So I don't know if you can see this very clearly, but these are the 3 paid tranches of what you get for your money. So the red band is you get the base game, and that's it. The deluxe edition, you get the base game and then some decorations for your apartment / haven, which are all nostalgia bait from the original game. And then the premium edition, you get the base game, you get all the decorations, and you unlock 2 more clans. And so the prices go, this is $59.99, this is $69.99, and this is $89.99. So $10 per clan. Yeah, $10 per additional clan in a game called Bloodlines, where the first game had 7 playable clans. This one has 4 or 6 if you want to pay a third of the price of the base game to get them. That's how this works. And it's kind of sad. Even if this had been 5th ed or 5th edition storyline and rules, which I admittedly am not that familiar with, but they at least tried or wouldn't let out a product without at least somewhat matching the original, I might have given it a shot. But I'm not paying $90 for this. If I ever play it, and that's a long shot, it'll be 2 or 3 years from now when it's on a Steam sale and all the extras are bundled into it, and I get it for like $20 or something. Although it'll probably never go to $20. But bonus, yeah, a jukebox. Yes, you get a jukebox where you can get the nostalgic music of Rick Schaefer from the original game. And here's the thing. Do you guys want to know? I mean, if you want to have nostalgia for Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, I got news for you. You can have it right now for $20. And I will bet you dollars to donuts if you wait a month or 2 months, a month and a half. It'll go on sale for Halloween. It'll go on sale in celebration of the release of Bloodlines 2, and you'll probably be able to get it for like $10 or less. Or you go over to the Good Old Games, GOG, and get it for probably less around Halloween time. And then you can have not only all of the Santa Monica decorations and all of the original music from Rick Schaefer, but you can have the actual game that they're connected to, which is probably a hell of a lot better than the thing that they're trying to monetize for the sequel. I know, it's a crazy idea. Also, Alexander, hello. But, yeah. So that's effectively my rant. It's a shame. It's a real shame that this is what they're putting out there at the price that they're putting it out there for, and expecting people to pay it. And there are people, and here's the thing, there were people who pre-ordered the game back when it was first announced back in 2019 or whatever, who never got anything. And they are, at the very least, everybody who pre-ordered back then, they are all getting the top tier version of this game now, which is the least they can do. For how many people paid whatever it was, 60 or 70 bucks back then, in order to get it and never got anything until now. So they're getting all the bells and whistles after waiting 7, 8, 9 years. Yeah. So good on them for that. The rest of us have to pay upwards of $100 for less options in gameplay than you had originally back in 2004. Hi, Monkey. Monkey's muted. Monkey has a problem. Okay, he had a connection. Let's try that again. Hello, Monkey.
Hello.
Hello. There you are.
That's weird. On my side, it's showing that my mic is working, and then, yeah, I don't know what it was doing. How you doing, man?
Well, I'm awake on a Wednesday.
Yeah, you're up kind of late, aren't you?
Well, old man late in the fact that I get up at 4 a.m. every morning for work, so I'm technically past my bedtime. But yeah, I have unfortunately fallen into, not entirely, but I've fallen partially into the wonderful world of Reddit over the last couple of months for different reasons.
Oh, and, gotcha, okay.
I know. And so, as it does, it found me out as to different things that I was interested in, and I started seeing all the talk about the upcoming release of this game, and all my old nerdery started bubbling up, and people having debates about it on Reddit, and I was like, no, this is this, and this is that, and so on. And I hadn't thought about this game in forever. And now that I know precisely, apparently, what's going to be happening with it, I'm just ticked off.
You know, you were just talking about me, not realizing you were. I'm one of those people who's had this pre-ordered since the beginning.
Seriously? I have no idea. Yeah. Have you played Bloodlines, the first one?
Oh, I've played both of the other. I played Bloodlines and both Masquerade games that have been big.
Oh, Monkey!
So I played Redemption.
How did I not know this? How did I not know this? Have we? Okay, well, it's been so long, I've obviously forgotten. Okay.
Yeah, it's probably been 5 years since you and I talked about Bloodlines.
Sure. Well, then you're going to get access to the you're going to have. When you do your gameplay streams, I want to be there. I want to be there. If I can co-pilot with you, I want to be there to watch what you do and see what happens. So when the time comes.
Yeah, see, this is what I was getting at though, because they give us the official release date of what, the 24th?
21st of October.
21st.
Yeah.
Damn it, I was so close.
Unless they're going to do some kind of like early release for something or other.
I've been given 2 vague release dates already.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to trust that one until it's day of.
Sure.
Because they broke that trust way too often already.
Yes, yeah. Given their history, I would call anything they say definitive as tentative. But yeah.
I'm very curious because you mentioned, I've been listening for a little while. First of all, YouTube, you suck. So I saw you on Twitter, and I don't watch video on Twitter because I hate their platform for that.
I got you. Yep.
So I'm like, oh, he's got to be on YouTube. And I come over here, and you know where it shows you who you're following and whether they're live in the left side?
Yeah.
It didn't show you. I had to look you up to find this.
Are you telling me that YouTube did a bad job in advertising this stream?
They absolutely did.
Those jerks. Okay, the guys, by the way, in the chat, I've mentioned this before on previous streams. Whether it's already happened or it's on the way, YouTube is changing its algorithm to where you're viewing this video, this stream, anybody else's video. The view does not count towards the analytics of the creator unless you also interact with the stream. So that means, and this isn't me begging, this is just the reality of the situation. You have to at least like the video or interact with it in some way or leave a comment. So if you want your viewership to count towards mine or any other content creators' fortunes, such as they are, Please do, if you haven't already, like the stream, and if you're watching this in the future, please leave a comment. So thank you for that. Anyway, Monkey.
We'll talk off screen about that. As for Vampire, though, what I liked about the first game wasn't the combat. It wasn't. It had nothing to do with the fighting style. And you mentioned, it looks more like a first person. I haven't seen anything from this. In fairness, I have not watched the new launch trailer that they've given us.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't seen anything about the story itself.
Well, do you want me to tell you what little I know?
Please, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so from what I can gather, this takes place in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
You are playing a vampire called Fire. You don't get to change your name. It's spelled Phyre because that's cool, yo.
Because it has to be, yeah.
And every time you walk in the room, somebody goes, "That's Fire."
That's Fire.
You have been in torpor for 100 years. And it is, I believe, implied that you went into sleep roundabouts of the time of the Great Fire in Seattle, which I think was like in 19 or 18. It was some time. It was at least 100 years ago or something. And it was this fire that destroyed the old town, and then the new town was built on top of it. So there's like an underground stuff. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds so close to the story of Redemption.
Well, it does a little bit, except like the latter half of Redemption. Yeah.
Because for those of you who haven't played Redemption, you start off playing in the old times, and then you get to a point where, what is it, a building collapses on you?
You are trying to save your beloved from the Tzimisce Lord, and then the castle collapses on top of you.
Yeah, and then they accidentally dig you up 100, 200 years later, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed that game, I really did, but man, have you ever tried going back and playing that again?
Oh, I'm playing it right now. All this talk about the sequel coming out, I have it in my library. I just downloaded it and started playing it again, yeah.
That game, when I loaded it up to try playing it again, and I had the same feeling I did when I loaded up San Andreas. Look at the fingers on those characters. They're ridiculous.
Oh, I know. They're big blocks. Yeah. It's great. It's so quaint, but it's still so good, though.
But the story was really good, and that's what I liked in Bloodlines. The atmosphere in Bloodlines was amazing.
Yes.
And if they can capture some of that, cool. But I'm so curious because I haven't seen any of the interactions with story. It's all just, here's the sneaking up on people and attacking people.
Yeah, that's the thing is that there's already been some preview play reviews from, I think, Eurogamer and a couple places that I've read or listened to. And you can tell who's a complete shill versus somebody who's a bit more legitimate, because it's like, oh, glowing praise for everything. And then there's somebody like, well, I liked some things, but some things have me concerned. The storyline is you wake up after 100 years being asleep. You have some strange runes carved into your skin that weren't there apparently when you went to sleep, that you have to, discover what they're for. You also have in your head, like I said before, a bodiless Malkavian spirit guide who is a detective from the 1920s.
What?
And at some point in the game, you depart from your playing the game in the modern day to do a flashback. Either a section of the game is this, or there are various parts of it that are these, where you go back and you play as that character, a set character named Fabian, a Malkavian detective from the 1920s, where you have to go back in time, or at least flashback to, solving a murder, like a gumshoe, like an Agatha Christie novel, which to me just feels like filler content for what we didn't have to put for the main character. Somehow this all ties together with the mystery you're taking on in the modern nights, with some power struggle taking place in Seattle, where Lou Graham is the Prince of Seattle, as far as I can tell. Now, for those guys that don't know, Lou Graham, who's Lou Graham, Monkey?
The name, I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, if I was being facetious in the sense that there is a singer named Lou Graham who did a song in the 80s called Even If Heaven and Earth Collide Tonight, We'll Be All Alone. That guy. Except it's not that Lou Graham. There was a she was kind of like the brothel queen of Seattle back in the old pioneer days. And her name was Lou Graham, and she became so influential because her clients were like politicians and stuff that she was kind of like the secret queen of the city way back in the day. She lost her main brothel in the big fire and then rebuilt it from scratch right after. I know this history for reasons I won't go into. But anyway, so this former brothel madam or whatever is the, I think she's a Toreador, maybe a Ventru, of Prince of Seattle. And what are the other story aspects of the game? Aside from some NPCs I've seen little clip videos of, I have no idea either. So yeah, your mystery is, I guess, why did these runes get cut into my skin? Maybe who woke me up or why I woke up now? I don't know.
I just, okay. Bloodlines was a broken ass game.
You mean a buggy? Yes. When it first came out, it was buggy as hell. Yes.
There's broken story plots in there. There's all kinds of stuff where it was clearly rushed out before they wanted to. And yet it is so beloved by people who played it because the game itself was that good.
Yeah. You could see that the bugs weren't there because of someone not caring, but because they weren't given enough time. And like I said before, the unofficial patch has been a passion project of the fan base for 20 odd years now. Yeah. And it's still being updated. And bugs, I mean, if you just download the basic patch, you fix every bug in the game. It's practically like it should have come out originally as a complete game. And that stuff's out there for anybody to use, and it's encouraged that you do. So yeah, when it first came out, it had its problems. But again, it wasn't problems that were from neglect. It was from Activision rushing them.
And most of it was like the opening cutscene. If you guys have never seen the opening cutscene in its original glory,
oh god,
you've got to see it. It's amazing.
Yeah,
it's like 4 still frames. It was great.
Oh, the jank. Yeah.
Yes, but it was such a good, well done game that part didn't matter. Yeah, it would have been great if it was perfect out of the box, but that part didn't matter. And I'm very concerned with this one that it's going to be much more polished because they've taken all this time. But the game itself is not going to be that interesting.
It obviously doesn't. It doesn't honor the first game in any way, shape, or form by having 2 clans locked behind a paywall, and one of them being the Toreador. I mean, for those of you in the chat that don't know, Vampire the Masquerade was inspired by a lot of things, and one of the things that was inspired by was the Anne Rice novel series. And the Toreador are kind of your Lestat type vampires. They are sociable, they are very charming, both supernaturally and otherwise. And they're also one of the, pardon my language, basic bitch clans of Vampire the Masquerade. They're like part of the primary 7. So if you were locking like the Samedi or the Harbingers of Skulls or some like really out there weird bloodline kind of thing behind a paywall, I could maybe see that, sort of, but to only offer 4 clans at the jump, 2 behind a paywall, one of which is one of those basic clans in the entire setting. And that's it. When the original game had 7, Bloodlines 2 should have 13 clans. You should be able to play any one of the 13 clans, and you should be able to choose whether you're going to be in the Camarilla, the Sabbat, or the Anarchs. It shouldn't be less than the original, but it looks like it is.
I don't have a problem with them cutting back some of the clans. Because there's some of them that I just wasn't interested in anyway, and I when I play role-playing games like that and they give you that many options, and it's like, how much is it going to change the game, really?
Well, here's the thing, and I had a similar conversation with somebody about this who was like saying, "Oh, why are you complaining about how many clans there are?" And I said, maybe it's just me as an old-time tabletop vampire fan, but there were people in my social group, and I'm sure many fans can attest to this too, who saw certain clans as kind of their spirit animal.
Sure.
And it was really reflective of their own personality, their likes, their taste, their style, whatever else. And even if in the original game, and this is true without any extra patching or stuff, some of the clan-specific storyline elements in the original game, depending on which clan you were playing, were either major to mild. But the fact that you could project yourself, even mildly, into your spirit animal, just to have the option to play as a gangrel versus a Ventru, even though mechanically speaking, you're not doing that much different, but there is something psychological for a real fan of the franchise to feel like you're being this clan versus that clan because it's a completely different attitude. So I never played as a gangrel, and I almost never played as a Malkavian, because those clans just really never spoke to me when I was playing the game tabletop wise. But people love playing the Malkavian, and some people love playing the gangrel, and those options should be available to people who are fans of the franchise, as far as I'm concerned.
And I hear you, but you have to make, you're designing your game and everything, and you have to make choices.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that they should have strove for at least 5.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like with at least 5, you can have 5 different, for lack of a better word, styles of play.
Yes.
If you play Bloodlines, these styles of play don't change that much with them. Except Malkavian.
It depends. It depends on how you solve for problems. In some situations, could rely more on your fists or your disciplines. It depends on how much they've integrated it. Admittedly, the unofficial patch puts in a lot of stuff that the original designers weren't allowed or didn't have time to put in. That fixes a lot of that to make the clans more distinct. But yeah,
as somebody I'd never heard of the tabletop when I played Bloodlines.
Mm-hmm.
I actually didn't know that Vampire was a tabletop until there was White Wolf was talking about making one of their werewolf games.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that's where I first learned that, oh, wait, that's a tabletop?
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea. So you want to, yes, the people who are there for Vampire are your core audience, but you also want to bring in other people. And for me, for the Malkavian, I get it,
mm-hmm.
but that's something I would never play and not something that I would be going after it for. That's for the hardcore fans, and that's why you include them.
Mm-hmm.
The two, I'm going to pronounce all these ones wrong.
That's fine.
The rich uppity ones, the
Ventru.
The Ventru. I had no interest in playing them. Mm-hmm. I believe I played Bruja. Is that what it's called?
Well, Bruja, it depends, yes.
Yeah, so I'm not trying to give them an excuse for not putting more stuff into the game, but I do understand mm-hmm. in order to get the game out, you have to make some decisions, and it's going to piss off fans.
Yeah, no, like I said before, I don't hold the developer to account for this, because they were handed off a project that was originally with a completely different developer.
Yes. And
they had to reconfigure it, take what they had, make something out of it. So it's all one big cluster from the jump. I hold Paradox Interactive or Paradox Entertainment responsible for this, not the developer. The developer did what they could with what they had in the time frame and the money they were given. That's fine. But the fact, as I said before, the very basics of the storyline and the gameplay, like when I saw preview videos for the first iteration of this game, it was all action. It was all beating stuff up and punching things and blowing things up, which is fine, but that's not the core of what made the game cool. It felt like a world you were inhabiting. It felt like a real interesting setting, and there was stuff going. It felt like a living world in a lot of ways because of what was going on. I don't want an FPS vampire. They had that. I forget what it was called. There was a Vampire the Masquerade. It was like a battle royale game that came out a few years ago. It was like Blood Rain or something like that, where you were all jumping around like Suicide Squad versus the Justice League in a cityscape and blowing things up. And I was like, that's not Vampire the Masquerade either. That's a stupid cash grab.
I am curious how open the city is in this one, and if this becomes part of the problem, because a lot of the great RPGs from that era, we go back to KOTOR and Neverwinter Nights and all these. The maps are not wide open; they are very linear maps. Mm-hmm. But that makes the storytelling easier.
Yes,
that's why you use a linear map. And parts like when you first walk into that one club with the crazy chick, I forget her name.
Jeanette.
Jeanette, that's it. Thank you. When you first walk in there, that is a moment.
Mm-hmm.
That the set piece is perfect. And you have trouble doing that in an more open world game because it's a different kind of game play. As much as I love things like Red Dead Redemption, the open world part of that is not where the greatness of that game is. It's in the very, very specifically tailored story that they're telling.
Right.
You can spend all day running around the Great Plains and stuff, but if you want to advance the story, you got to go into that set piece.
The one of the reviews I saw was from Eurogamer, and the reviewer, this was the person who was kind of like, some things are good, some things are worrisome. One of the things that worried her was the fact that when she was in the main hub, there were lots of interesting looking buildings and a lot of interesting scenery to see, but the only doors you could go into at any one time were doors where there was story to be had in the game. There was no side quests. There was no incidental stuff that kind of made the world feel bigger. Everything else was just like a statically closed door. Now, maybe some of that's going to change between now and release because it was a preview build, they said, but at the same time I thought, yeah, I realized that when I think about the original hub in Bloodlines, Santa Monica, there are only a few doors you can go into, but you could go into any of the doors from the jump, and you could start meeting some of these characters and exploring, and whether or not you were able to start the story or something, you felt like there was more to see and more to do, even before you got involved in the mainline story.
Yeah, depending on how they handle it, that actually makes me feel better, her comments about that, than if they're like, no, it's open, you can go, and as long as you can go to any of those places from the jump, it's fine that there's only those places.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the brilliant things that they used to have to do just for space in a game. Like you couldn't have a 100 gigabyte game back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to pick and choose what you could go into. Most of Santa Monica, it's a static wall that they put there to make it look nice.
Mm-hmm.
The actual map is like a giant H. It's which was pretty standard back then too.
Yeah, but there was a lot going on, and as you did this is the cool thing about that first game, is that as you did each little side mission, you were forced to explore and get to know the layout of different parts of the town.
Yes.
And the different personalities and how they interacted and all that. So, yeah, I mean, fingers crossed, knock Formica, they do something like that. And one of the things that is I just thought of it, apparently, and again, guys, this is all stuff that I'm hearing sidewise, there's no lockpicking in the game. And I thought, I realize that's a small thing, but again, it was the thing about Bloodlines I always liked was, in almost every situation, not every situation, but a lot of situations, there were different avenues to solve problems. Sometimes it was convincing somebody of something, sometimes it was sneaking around, sometimes it was punching your way through, but there was always a way through based on either what your character could do or what stats you could bump up over others. Mm-hmm. And I know it's a small thing, but it's like lockpicking just seems like one of those things that is standard RPG fare. Was certainly a big part of the first game. I think you can do hacking in this game. I don't know for sure. But I don't know. I just feel like, whatever blame I want to place on either Paradox or sympathy I want to give to Chinese Room, I don't know, man. And plus the fact, like I say, it's based on 5th edition Vampire the Masquerade, which was woke as all hell.
Of course. I mean, they're setting it in Seattle, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, they're setting it in Seattle. They changed the Assamites. The La Sombra are now part of the Camarilla. And I know guys in the chat that don't know this stuff, it's not going to make any sense to you. The La Sombra are evil, shadow-worshipping monsters. They are part of the Sabbat. They should always be part of the Sabbat. They shouldn't be part of the Cam. Ugh. Anyway, sorry.
No, you're fine. But see, this is part of my worry with the game. You have not talked once about that great fight you had in Bloodlines. It's all about the story and the clans.
Yeah.
And I am just worried about the story part not being there.
If the individual clan stories in this, everything else aside about 5th Ed, for anybody who's a fan of the setting, regardless of being a snob about editions and stuff, The only thing I would hope is that if they're going to truncate the number of clans you have options to play as in the game, that at least picking a clan has far more significance in the story that you get than just a power set. There, I mean, like I say, in the original Bloodlines game, if you're playing as a Tremere, there's a whole awesome side story to the Tremere that you don't get if you're playing a Ventru. If you're playing as a Malkavian, practically the entire game is a clan-specific adventure because of the way the Malkavians operate. Gangrel, not so much here and there. So, yeah, weak clan stories does make it not great in Bloodlines sometimes versus other clans. Again, some of the patch stuff has fixed that. But yeah, if they're going to winnow down the clans to 6 in this, and if you're going to have to pay 22 some odd bucks for 2 extra clans, man, playing as a La Sombra had better be a 180-degree different experience than playing as a Bruja. It better be. Otherwise, I'd be a pissed off consumer.
My favorite quest in the first game, you didn't really fight anything. It was the haunted house. The haunted house is one of the best levels in any role-playing game I've ever played. It's The Shining. No. Yeah. Of any game I've ever played.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I'll grant you that too. Yeah, no, just because it's all environmental storytelling.
Yes.
It's all. I mean, you learn as much about what's going on as you decide to by looking in different corners and rooms and stuff, and it is creepy as fuck.
It's one of the few moments in video games that have actually scared me. Yeah,
the jump scares were real and they were well done. And you didn't know it was coming around the next corner. And yeah, if you look at it 30,000 foot, it's effectively a 20-minute carnival haunted house. But yet it makes you feel like you're part of something in the world bigger than itself. And it never comes back. It's one of the things, it's like they integrated so well different elements of the world of darkness between werewolves and wraith. They didn't really do much with the changelings. But you get those. That's what most of the tabletop games I played for Vampire were. You might occasionally get a little visit from one of the other game lines, so to speak, or one of the creature sets, but they'd always just kind of poke and not reside there forever. Just enough to remind you that you're part of a bigger world. Yeah, the Ocean View or whatever the house is, it's great. It was.
Yeah, and like you said, it just comes up that one time, and I don't know anybody who's played that game that's not their favorite part of the game. Story-wise, my favorite is actually Jeanette in that, because that whole story was fucking amazing. Well done.
Yes. The writing on that first one, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the guy, one of the writers on Bloodlines was one of the writers for KOTOR. Somebody could correct me. I think Drew Karpyshyn had something to do with Bloodline. Maybe I'm misremembering. If somebody in the chat corrects me otherwise, but I know Leonard Boyarsky was in there. But yeah, a lot of great writers went into that game. People who understood the material, the source material, and loved it, and made some amazing additions to the lore, and all kept in. It's overall such even like the Malkavian mansion, where you're just kind of moving through this, again, funhouse kind of thing. And you're listening to the voiceover of the Malkavian sort of talking about his sweet wife that's now frozen in time. Sort of like, I always thought it was kind of like Mr. Freeze in Batman. He's got his wife sort of like trapped or whatever. You're not doing a whole heck of a lot in that except like trying to figure out and going through this funhouse, but you're learning a lot about the lore, the world. That was what's so great about Redemption, is that if I was like, hey, you want to learn about Vampire the Masquerade, play Redemption. It's cheesy, but man, it gives you just about everything you need to know to understand the basics of how that whole setting worked back in the day. But yeah, it really is about the story. And like you say, so far, except for the bits and pieces I'm hearing, the story isn't the focus. I'm seeing like, oh, I can levitate a machine gun and shoot people with it, and I can throw people across the room. The very first scene where you wake up, and I've seen this in a couple of preview videos now, you wake up, you pick a guy up, you drain him dry, and you throw his body across the room. Another guy comes in the room, and you punch him, and he basically explodes. And I'm like, why would I want to play with God mode on from the start?
Yeah, Bloodlines, if you fuck around, you're gonna end up dying if you're not careful early
Oh
on.
yeah. I mean, either from your bad decisions or from the game's original buggy jank.
Well, yeah, true.
But yeah.
But you get more powerful as you go up, not right out of the gate.
Yeah, and that's what I like about any role-playing game is that
Yes.
9 times out of 10, you're starting from the bottom and having to achieve your way up through going through things and making right decisions or whatever. I'm not a big fan of games where like you start off powerful and then they depower you after the introductory level and like, oh, you have to go rebuild yourself up. Sometimes that's hard to avoid when you're talking about sequels like God of War or something, but you find a story element to make it work. In this instance, yeah, you're a 400-year-old elder vampire. And for those of you guys in the chat, unless they've changed the rules for vampire completely, being old doesn't somehow weaken your ability. It makes you more powerful over time. The older you are, the more stuff you learn, the more powerful you are. That's kind of how it goes in Vampire the Masquerade. So waking up after 100 years in torpor, yeah, you may need to get your bearings, but you don't suddenly lose the ability to do all the things you used to do powers-wise. You don't suddenly lose your entire memory unless you decide to go like some kind of amnesia route. So I don't know. And just...
The other thing that worries me is I'm actually a fan and huge critic to Paradox Gaming. Paradox Games. I love their games. I hate their business model.
Right.
If you guys have watched me play games, you've seen me play like Crusader Kings or what else have I played on stream? I don't know if I played any, but I have all of their series. Those are their main series. It's it starts off with Crusader Kings, Europa Universalis, I forget the World War II one, and then Victoria. Victoria is the only one I don't have. But what they do is they release a playable game, and then for the next several years, they start dropping $15 packs to make the game better.
Right.
And I do wonder if that's part of the plan here, is that in a couple of years, all of the clans will be there, but you'll have to pay $15 for each of them.
Well, that's my suspicion, is that they're going to try to stretch this out. And just for you guys' edification, yeah. So for an extra, so the base game is $59. If you want everything, including the decorations for your haven, which is just nostalgia bait for the previous game. If you want the extra clans, you got to pay $89.99. You get La Sombra and Toreador. But you get 4 new La Sombra outfits.
Yay!
And 4 new Toreador outfits, which I would hope that you can wear regardless of what clan you're playing. But whatever. Yeah, I can only imagine that if they're going to try to drag this out, it's going to be on extra clans. The thing is, though, if I was going to do this DLC, I wouldn't do it day one, because that just feels like you're robbing people of what might as well be in the base game. Like I just said, oh, in 2 months this will happen. But anyway, my
guess is that those were originally supposed to be in the game,
and
then they were like, but we need a special edition, and so they toss that in there, and they'll be available for individual purchase.
I will say that in press type releases from 2023, they were still saying there were going to be 4 playable clans at launch. So if they were planning on adding these 2, it didn't sound like it from the press stuff they were releasing a couple of years ago. So I think it was always the plan to have 4 and have whatever was else paywalled, I think. But,
yeah, I want to go back and see what they were saying when they first announced this. Like if they gave us any kind of indication on how many there were going to be. I've just been around Paradox games for so long that I love their games, but they really are dirty. They are so dirty.
Did you ever play or put on the Crusader Kings 3? There's a Vampire the Masquerade complete overhaul of it.
I have not, no.
Yeah, so there's I think a YouTube channel that does a lot of roleplay stuff, Rycon Roleplays. He played Crusader Kings 3 with the vampire. I think it's like Lords of Shadow or something like that. I forget what exactly it's called. But yeah, it replaces all of the... you can pick your clan and then different parts of the world are controlled by the vampire clans, and everything's been replaced. You can make ghouls or pick your child, and on and on. And it looks pretty complete. It's made by a bunch of super fans, some of which are probably autistic because it's so detailed.
Probably.
And it looks kind of fun as a side distraction. But people care about it enough.
Paradox is one of those companies that makes me hate myself as a gamer because I know I shouldn't support them.
Mm-hmm.
But even in the games, like some people are, that game wasn't playable out of the box. Actually, most of them are. There's just a lot of stuff that people want that gets added later. They're like, that should have been in the base.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of felt the same way about Activision in general because of how much they screwed over the Bloodlines team originally. I was like, I am not supporting Activision again. Why would they do that? If they just given those guys, like I think if I remember correctly, when the game first came out, it was buggy as all hell, and then if the lore of the production of this game is correct, and I'm pulling from my memory, the programmers and developers, they were like, hey, give us 2 weeks to at least make a patch for some of the major bugs.
Yeah.
And I think they worked basically without pay for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks straight just to get a patch out there to try to fix some of the major stuff. But Activision was so tight-fisted with the whole thing. And there was something about the release date had to do with the fact they were using the Source engine, which they weren't allowed to release their game before Half-Life 2, but they wanted to release it sometime around Half-Life 2 within a week or two after it because of using one of the early builds of the Source engine. So, yeah, those guys got completely skunked as far as I'm concerned, Troika Games. Because, if they'd been given just like 3 or 4 more months to polish, man. And yet, regardless, it's still one of the most played and beloved games of all time. And like I say, the joke is, anytime anybody brings up Bloodlines, somebody reinstalls Bloodlines.
Oh, absolutely. I've been... My gaming has been curtailed, so I'm playing a lot of my older games.
Mm-hmm.
And, now I might reload Bloodlines and play it again.
There you go. And in preparation for this new one, just so you can like compare and contrast.
See, that's another thing. I do that a lot with games when there's a new one coming out. Go back and play it, and I need to make sure I give myself enough time to complete it because I have a bad habit of going like, okay, I'm gonna go back and play this game before this one comes out, and I don't make it. New one comes out, and I start playing that one. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go back and finish the other one, and you go back and like, this is crap.
Yeah,
this is horrible.
Rose-colored glasses.
Yeah.
Let's see, Timothy Armstrong. I looked up this game to have to be face to face with Blood of the Dawn Walker, which looks similar. See, I've seen the preview for that, and I'm just like, I don't want to play as a damn fear. That's just too riding the fence. It's like, oh well, I'm a little weaker in the daylight. If you're a vampire, you're a vampire. I don't think you ride the fence on that. That's just me. But I don't know. I saw the trailer for that. I don't put a lot of stock into pre-rendered trailers anymore because that's just like, it's just bait. But hey, maybe it'll be. Have you seen the preview for Blood of the Dawn Walker?
I have not.
It's so it's a medieval-esque setting, and you are as far as I can tell, a damn fear. So like when the sun's up, you're not melting, but you're also not as powerful. And then you're doing some kind of adventure to save your little sister or something. I don't know. I guess we'll wait and see. I'm a little wary of vampire games where you're completely a hero, or at least can move around in the daylight. Old Guy Gamer, I said this earlier. Is it true not enough people have hit the like button? I don't know. It says we have 70 people watching. How many likes do we have? I can't see.
It's the like button, y'all.
Let's see. I doubt anyone would have been called Fire 300 to 400 years ago. That name sounds like desperation for devil. It is cringe. It is cringe. Fire. And I said this. I said this earlier. Like, if you look at the options to play as a male or female, at least the little base examples I've seen so far, it's like, well, you have 2 options. Either you can play as a 1998 lesbian or a 1998 lesbian. One slightly looks more male than the other one. That's about it. I could be mistaken. Maybe there are more options, but yeah. Fabian the Malkavian. Are they using Marvel naming out? Yeah, Fabian. Well, it's Fabian, Fabian, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But since it's fire, it might be Fabian and fire. I don't know. Somebody's getting all alliterative or something. Malachi, development time could have been Duke Nukem Forever. It's true.
Yeah, true.
It's true. We could still be talking. Hell, it could. I mean, nothing beats Half-Life 3, but we could still be talking about waiting for Bloodlines 2 now. Read by Nature. I've never played the original Bloodlines. I played Redemption, though. I really like that one. Yeah, Redemption's great. It's a great little game. And, yeah, you can get it for real cheap off of Steam or GOG. And, yeah, there's plenty of pre-2000s jank to that, but it's still the voice acting, the characters, the writing, the story sometimes gets a little silly, but it's great.
My only problem with Redemption is the end. And for people who haven't played it, I'm not going to spoil it, but the option can be very abrupt.
Yes.
Depending on your play style.
Yeah, it's not the endings are not determined by the bulk of what you're doing throughout the game. It's just the certain conditions right at the end of the game. So as far as RPG is concerned, yeah, those elements are fairly mild. It's more of an action RPG than it is an RPG. But it definitely introduces you and immerses you in the lore and the world of Vampire the Masquerade much more effectively than... well, like I say, if you've never done a tabletop game before and you want to know what the sort of the overarching basics of VTM are, Redemption's a good game to start with.
And I heard you talking, for anybody who's interested in either of these games, if you can hold out just a couple of weeks, the Halloween sale will be coming.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And I've seen Redemption, I believe, for less than $1.
Yeah, that game is so old now that usually at sale time it drops to like $1.08 or something crazy.
And with Bloodlines, you can get it for like $5, if I remember correctly, from the last time I looked on the sale.
Yeah, it's $20 right now, but if you wait for the Halloween sale, man, you can probably, and especially they'll probably have specials for the sake of the release of Bloodlines 2, or it'll probably be even less. Yeah. You can probably get them in a bundle, like the Vampire the Masquerade bundle, and you get those two games for like, I would be surprised if it would cost somebody more than $10 to get the whole shebang of Redemption and Bloodlines. Now, the visual novel games for Vampire that they've released in the years since, like Coteries of New York and other things. I played Coteries of New York. I did a Let's Play on it on my other channel. It was unsatisfying, let's just say. I can't speak to any of the other ones. Some people have said Swan Song is good. I'll have to take their word for it. I'm not going to go anywhere near it because, like I say, at a certain point, they introduce all their woke fifth ed nonsense, and I just don't care. As far as I'm concerned, as far as the tabletop game is concerned, Vampire the Masquerade stopped at the 20th anniversary edition back in like 2017 or something, and that's it. But anyway, that's my snobbishness talking. Read by Nature. That's what keeps me from playing Dead by Daylight. Don't really want to spend an arm and a leg to get access to everything. Yeah, and this is, like Monkey said, I don't have as much experience with Paradox games as Monkey does. Nickeling and diming your consumer base from the get-go, I just have a problem with that. $20 for 2 clans, come on. I mean, it better be really good, because if I'm paying as much for one clan as I would pay for like a movie ticket that's going to give me 2.5 hours of whatever, that better be a good story. I hope we find out that. Monkey's got the premium edition, so.
This is kind of weird for Paradox too, because they don't do games like this anymore. They used to, but they've really gotten into the strategy. That's why their major IPs are Crusader Kings and Victoria and those. They really stepped away from making games like this. So I'm very curious to see how well they do it.
Austin Scribbles, have you thought about running a VTM campaign with others on YouTube? Boy, have I! For years now. I haven't. Basically because I have kind of, I don't know what you want to call it, a neuroses about running Vampire the Masquerade. I was involved in a social group that was heavily into Vampire the Masquerade for many, many, many years. And the falling out I had with that group is tied in some ways to why I came on YouTube in the first place. And there's been kind of a, something's rotten in the state of Denmark when it comes to me getting the gumption up to run a Vampire the Masquerade campaign again, because there's a lot of memories attached to it. So I have thought about it a lot. Monkey, have you ever played the game Vampyr, like Vampyr?
I know what it is. I haven't played it.
Yeah, so this came out in like, I want to say it was like 7 years ago, so it's like 2018 or 2019 or something. So I played that game and I got really into it because it was vampires, which I always love vampires, and it had a very unique lore to it. And I got kind of into the setting. It takes place in like Victorian London, and it's got similar elements. It feels like kind of a love letter to what Vampire the Masquerade used to be back in the olden days. And so I got really into it. And I got so into it, I thought to myself, golly, wouldn't it be great if there was like a tabletop version of this setting? Because, I'm kind of a tabletop-ish nerd, I suppose. And I thought to myself, golly, if only someone would make such a thing. And this is where I'm kind of moving into the... I kind of made it. I made an entire core book.
How'd you like the game itself? You played it, right?
Yeah. Oh, I played it several times now. So you got the Bloodlines, you've got the Econ, you've got the Skull, you've got the Volcod, you've got the powers. I did all the powers into the Vampire the Masquerade. I used the Vampire the Masquerade rules set from the tabletop and converted it all using the setting stuff from the game.
Gotcha.
And I'm a big nerd. And I've been thinking about trying to run this as like a game online or something. Oh, I like your monkey vampire. Oh, you got one too.
Yeah,
oh, good.
I noticed you had one, so I went and dug out mine. Yeah,
I got mine. Yeah, this is God, who made this for me? I think it was Rickett Art or whatever. Anyway, Richard Art. Pardon me. So I made a Vampire the Masquerade rules set version for the game Vampyr because I was so engrossed in it, and it's been a labor of love. It's been something I've been working on for like 2 years now. So I keep thinking maybe I should run that. The problem is that there's so few people who are as familiar with that setting as they are with, say, Vampire the Masquerade, that trying to school people into it before they play would be kind of tough. So you'd have to be like a super fan of Vampyr to really get it. Sure, yeah. But anyway, that's how much of a vampire tabletop nerd that I am, is that I was like, hey, there's not a role-playing version of this thing. I'll make a... By the way, anybody listening, this is a commercial-free, non-for-profit fan project. So, yeah, anyway.
You should hit up the people who actually made the game and be like, hey, I made this.
No, I have tweeted out about it to their accounts. I posted it on certain Reddit forums talking about it. I've attempted contacting one of the artists that did the concept art for it, but never was heard an encouraging word, so I guess nobody cares. Which is, it's kind of depressing on one hand, but I'm like, I wasn't doing it for anything other than myself, I guess, although a little reciprocity would be nice, but anyway, Count Monkula. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Well, I have tons of those monkeys, so.
Oh, I know. I've seen most.
Chances are I could pull up one for most things, but no. With this game, you said you weren't gonna be getting it.
Not well. Okay, I've couched myself by saying I'm not going to get it at this price. If it's good and it continues to be good, or I hear good things about it, even if it is drawing from a version of the lore that I am neither familiar with or a fan of, if in 2 or 3 years I find the whole thing bundled on sale without extra DLC for like $20, maybe. But I'm certainly not paying $89. I remember I was wary enough when they announced it originally back in 2019 of what they were going to do with it because of what had happened to the Paradox buying White Wolf and what was rumored to be going on with 5th edition. I didn't even pre-order back then because I was like, I almost never pre-order. The only time I ever pre-ordered was for Fallout 76, and that taught me a lesson.
I had forgotten I'd even pre-ordered it when I saw it was finally announced, I went to look, and yeah, I have it pre-ordered.
Yeah.
I have no idea what I paid for it because I pre-ordered it when it was announced back in when they first put that out there. What 2020?
Yeah, 2019, 2020. It was either 49 or 50. I think you were paying a pretty penny back then. Yeah, it's either 50 or $60.
I was smart to buy it then. Money was
cheaper.
Yeah. I got it cheaper.
You're getting your money's worth now. So yeah, Monkey's going to get the premium edition with all the bells and whistles.
Yeah, for what today would be like $150. But I was going to say so. Oh, I do like that the special edition way overpriced. $90 for that is ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it's silly. It's really, especially like for to make the second level just aesthetic items for your haven. Like, oh boy, we're going to put the stop sign in your haven so you can talk to the stop sign. Remember the stop sign from the Malkavians in the first game, guys? Now you can talk to the stop sign anytime you want. And like, well, I could go buy Bloodlines for like $20 and not.
Yeah.
Why do that?
Or actually, when this game comes out, you'll be able to buy Bloodlines for $5 and play.
Exactly. Yeah, you might as well because you're better off.
But the one grace I will give them on this is the base game price is only $60. And for a AAA game these days, that's actually cheap because most of them are $70 to now $80 just for the base.
I don't know that I'd call this a AAA title though.
I would.
I mean, price-wise, maybe. I'd have to wait and see what the reviews are for the base game to see if it actually qualifies.
AAA.
I guess it depends on what AAA is defined as now anymore.
Yeah, how much money is behind the game when it's made. And Paradox has a lot of money. This is a AAA title.
Yeah, okay. I always thought AAA was like a reflection of the studio's quality.
You know,
maybe I'm just idealistic like that.
That would be nice if that was true.
I know, like I say, idealism.
Don't forget quadruple A now. So.
Oh yeah, quadruple A. Read by nature. Vampire had potential. Kind of. Yeah, there is some jank to it. It's it has some identity crisis issues with whether it's a combat game versus a role-playing game versus a glorified visual novel. It's trying to be all things at once, but there's still something about the art style, the voice acting, the atmosphere, the storyline still is really compelling. So there's a lot of good stuff there, I thought. Yeah, I have some complaints about some of the mechanics, and I tried to work some of those mechanics into my adaptation. To what success I couldn't say until I ever get a chance to play test the thing, but I give it a best shot. Well, let's see. Oh, and Rebanish. I think V Rising is probably a lot cheaper with DLC, and you can decorate your base there too. Yeah, see, the games where you're just kind of doing conquest stuff as a vampire, quote unquote. I like getting into the story. I like the idea of the lone monster kind of thing, and not to say that base building and stuff isn't fun for a lot of people. But to just feel things like V Rising just feel like a vampire veneer on top of another kind of gameplay. I don't know.
Reed said that is V Rising worth getting because my gaming budget is way down, but Halloween is coming up.
It's true.
V Rising is one that Steam has tried getting me to buy a lot, and they've almost got me several times. Yeah,
I've had that pushed in front of me just because of the other stuff that I have in my library and everything. I've had that, and I was kind of like, and I've watched a couple of, admittedly, there were a couple of early videos of gameplay, and I was kind of like, I don't know. So maybe it's stepped up since then. Keeverdam, thank you so much. Hi, stopping by. Nice to see you, Keeverdam. Hope you're doing good. Thank you so much. Oh, by the way, guys, I completely forgot. Speaking of blood, top of the chat box, there is a link to the donation page for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. So if you have the opportunity to take a look at that, please do so. If you can donate, that'd be great. But even if you can't, if you can share that out on social media, that would be appreciated.
Before you move on from that, thank you for that. My mom died of leukemia, and that's cool, man. Yeah,
my father was diagnosed last March, and he's it's been the last year. And now plus a couple of months has been quite a roller coaster, and he's still kicking. And thank goodness, I got to say, thank goodness for the VA. My father is a Air Force veteran and was stationed in Turkey during Vietnam to guard SR-71s from the evil communist Turks or something. And if the VA hadn't come in last year when they did, my father was like, given the projected expenses of trying to see to his care, he was like, roll me into a corner and let me die. I am not taking away your mother's living money. You know, he's just like, nah. But yay, VA. VA's done right by my dad. So thanks to the VA. But yeah, leukemia. Yeah, I had a friend several years ago who died of leukemia. It is a scourge, absolute scourge. I wish it were curable. I hope so someday, and maybe with some donations to it, as I make at least one decent sized donation every year. But yeah, anyway, sorry, not to bring things down. Tandemar, there was supposed to be a World of Darkness online game, but it never happened. Yep, I talked about that earlier. World of Darkness Online, the MMORPG World of Darkness. I was never quite sure how they were going to handle the day-night cycle on that one for playing a vampire, but there you go. And, real quick, thank you, Derek LaRue. Derek LaRue, thank you so much, Derek. Gosh, that's Derek LaRue. I really, really appreciate your generosity and your support, as always. Thank you so much. Hope you're having a good evening, and hope you enjoyed, if you haven't already watched the show. Read by nature, you should rework your vampire adaptation to original IP. Well, maybe I did a little bit, because there was one thing mentioned in a document in the vampire game about an organization of vampires called the Druid Order that they didn't say much about except like 2 paragraphs, and I completely extrapolated that into a 30-page supplemental book of original writing because I'm a complete nerd. That took me like 2 months, and I just made it up from scratch, like with little like 2 sentences in the game notes and stuff, and made a whole here. I'm going to show it off now. Because I'm going to hold on a second, because I'm a big nerd. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. I keep a copy of it. Oh man, I got to download a copy from my own Dropbox account. I'll show this off to you because it's all about Scottish vampires. I went to Tailed Feature, actually. I asked him for some advice on Scotland history, because he's kind of a Scottish historian. And he gave me a couple of tips that worked out really well for my little idea here. Hold on. Let me pull it up so I can show it off to anybody who might be interested. I don't know if anybody's interested in this stuff. It's complete and absolute nerdery. No, I want to put it here. Is that going to pop up now? Yes, it is. Okay, so let me share all these pop-ups. Pop up. Let's share this. Here we go. So here it is, the book cover and everything. The Druid Order. And so you've got the big blood tree and all my credits, and then you've got the table of contents. And yes, I did use AI to generate some artwork for the book. But yes, you get a whole lexicon. I had to come up with all these different terms for different things based on Scottish Gaelic. You get root and branch. You get the entire history of the cult going through. All of this is original writing, by the way. None of this is something taken from the game. This is all just me riffing off of stuff and writing up an entire history for a blood cult of vampires from Scottish druids. And only after about like 20 some odd pages of story and backstory and all this other stuff do you finally get to some rules for like powers and stuff, and then character profiles and things. But anyway, that took me about 3 months of work and rewrite. And the other thing too is really threw me off is that I tried to, one of the elements of the group I tried to integrate was that they do specific ceremonies on different phases of the moon. And I wrote basically the entire thing under the impression that to have a new moon on the winter solstice, so the longest night of the year, under the darkest night of the year, it happened every 3 or 4 years. For some reason, on some little piece of information I found that said, oh yeah, this happens every 3 or 4 years. There's the new moon under the winter solstice. No, it's like once every 49 years. So I had set this whole timeline of events based around this thing, and then I found out I was wrong, and I was like, oh, shit. I had to go back and rewrite like a quarter of everything that I'd written because of this. I was like, and this is like, I'm just trying to be so accurate to reality. I care about my craft. Frank Hubbard, thank you so much. I lost my dad to brain cancer at 5/15/12. He was 49. Oh, man. My mom died from cancer at 44, so fuck cancer. Yes, fuck cancer.
Fuck cancer.
Holy shit, man. I'm so sorry, Frank. Oh, that's terrible. That's terrible. And Frank, again, thank you. I'm so glad you've been right. I tell you what, it was the first project I've worked on in years where I was self-generating. Nothing, it wasn't an assignment I had. I wasn't under some obligation by somebody else. It was just something that I found a spark of passion for as nerdy as it is. And I just plowed into it. And then, by the way, the 2 books I've shown you are only 2 of the 3. The 3rd one I'm still working on. I won't go into that. That'll be more nerdery.
Yeah,
but yeah.
I'm with whoever said it. You should adapt it for your own thing and put it out there. Do a Kickstarter for that thing.
Yeah, I don't know what to do. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like I'm kind of hoping to gain some attention from other fans of the game themselves who might be interested in it as extra gamer crack, because I just see it as gamer crack. But who knows? I mean, except for a few terms here and there, there's nothing to otherwise attach it to that property. So yeah, I could just find and replace a bunch of things and turn into my own thing of druidic vampires.
Worked for 50 Shades of Grey. That's all I'm saying.
I know. Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. Yeah, it was Twilight fanfic turned into BDSM empire.
Yes.
And it's not anything I would recommend to anyone actually wanting to know what to do when it comes to a BDSM relationship, but that's beside the point. It's one-handed reading, as they say.
I do want to go back to the World of Darkness.
Sure.
The MMO that they were planning on making for it.
Mm-hmm.
They have day-night cycles and have had them all along in WoW. They could have done that easily.
Well, the problem is that what do you do with a vampire PC during the day cycle?
Easy. You make a place that's like a dark wood. You have underground areas for them. There's plenty you can do. The problem with that was that by the time it's announced and they're working on it, the whole MMO genre is dying off to where only WoW is the real one anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And the money that could have been made, if they had done that immediately with WoW's success, it probably would have existed and been fine. They just waited way too long. And it's, for those of you who are in the property, yeah, it's a big property, but for most of us, it's, oh, look, a vampire game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, this was around the same time that Paradox bought White Wolf to begin with. That was their first big White Wolf project, was going to be World of Darkness Online. Again, another property, as you've said, is not quite their wheelhouse as far as game style, or at least historically now. We were really excited, us Vampire the Masquerade fans, because the original press release stuff they put out in the preview video, the sort of like teaser trailer and everything, it looked like everything we would want from effectively a sequel to Bloodlines at that point. But the more that we talked about it, we're like, well, how would this work? And then I saw what they were doing with DC Universe Online, where you have like the Gotham City hub, and then you have the Metropolis hub. And I thought, okay, so they're going to have like a nighttime hub for the vampires and like a daytime forest hub for the werewolves, because they were talking about having all the different game lines effectively intersect in this world between wraith and werewolf and vampire and changeling and everything else. It was probably too much. But yeah, for the day-night cycle, I thought, well, maybe when the day rises, then you switch over to your ghoul character to do daylight stuff. And then you have like a tandem kind of thing where you have a servitor and you have a vampire, and one is more powerful, but one can do other things. I didn't know how they were going to do it, unless they were going to keep it perpetually night, which is what they did in Bloodlines. It's never daytime in Bloodlines. It's always night. No matter what you're doing in the game, it's perpetually nighttime, which might be the only way you could do a vampire MMO unless, of course, you're making everybody a damn fear like they're doing in this Blood of the Dawnwalker game. So anyway, would have been great. We were all excited for it at the time. Never materialized, just some screenshots and some test footage and stuff that I think came out, and some interesting concept art, and that was about it.
Your chat says Shadow Kiss was always nice. The problem with doing that with Vampire or with the World of Darkness time is that there are reasons to have daytime.
Yes. Yeah. Unless you've got,
because is in Redemption, isn't there daytime and you have to stick to the sewers during daytime to get around?
Well, there's one level in the Dark Ages game where you're having to chase down Alessandra, and you have to go there during daytime, and you have to navigate around in shadows and tunnels and stuff. But there are shafts of daylight around that you have to either try to eke your way past or just have to run through and take the damage.
Right. Yeah.
But other than that one part in the Dark Ages section, I don't think there's any daylight elements in the rest of the game, but they are there. There's no daylight in Bloodlines that I recall.
In Bloodlines, not that I recall either.
No, and but yeah, no. I mean, if you did something like there's one element of the Vampire game that I kind of liked, is that obviously the game takes place perpetually at night, but when you do eventually rest in order to spend your XP and stuff, it takes into account the conditions of where things are at in the world and different characters, and then it advances consequence into the next day. Or next night, I should say. So by the next night, like if somebody got killed, or if somebody's sick, or if someone was healed, or someone was saved, those things are taken into account, and some elements of the story or the condition of the environment might change slightly, or in major ways, depending on what happened. And so I could see maybe something like that happening in a World of Darkness game if they made it that complex. But if there was to be a daytime thing, you'd have to have, like I say, some kind of representative to operate in the daytime. The first thing I think of is that you have a ghoul. You can tailor your ghoul. You can update your ghoul. You can have, like this new game is going to have some kind of tandem role play, because you're going to have the Malkavian spirit in your head or whatever else. So yeah, if you had like a dedicated ghoul character that was your familiar, your retainer to do daytime stuff.
Having the Malkavian, that's part that worries me, because there's so much that could go wrong with how they handle that. Yeah,
my reflexive worry is that it's just going to make it far too linear, far too lead around by the nose.
Yeah, I can see that.
Narratively, it's supposed to be the individual who's supposed to help you navigate the modern nights after being asleep for a century, after so much has changed. So, he like whispers in your ear who this personality is before that you're going to meet this NPC, or that's a phone. People can talk to each other, that kind of stuff. Freaky Fro, the company that EVE Online was working on an MMO for Vampire way back. I think that's who Paradox might have. Well, I don't know what the developer was that Paradox hired to start working on World of Darkness Online. Might have been. Could have been. But yeah, they were promoting that for a time, and everybody's really excited. But yeah, not much came to that. Tandemar Redemption tried to do a TTRPG style like Neverwinter Nights did. Nowhere near as good. No, Redemption is definitely a limited game in its scope and its options. There's no doubt about it. But what it does, as far as I'm concerned, for the time and given the content therein, it did it very well. It's not a Dungeons and Dragons type game. I think it's built on the Diablo engine, so it's very point and click and hit and kill. But the writing, the characterization, the when you get to the modern times, you remember the mohawked character in London, Pink. Mm-hmm. You know who does the voice of that?
No.
It's what's his name from Revenge of the Nerds, who plays like Booger. Yeah, whoever plays Booger.
Oh,
he's the voice. Yeah,
I don't know his
off the top of my
name,
head.
but I know who he. Yeah.
Yeah, I forget his name off the top of my head, but he has a lot of voice work. And when I found out it was Booger from Revenge of the Nerds, I was like, oh my god, because he does an amazing like Cockney accent you never would have known, and Pink is just such an amazingly memorable character.
He's also the best friend from Better Off Dead. Just saying.
Yeah. Oh, and also the guy who voices Kristoff. This is the weirdest thing. When my friend and I, way back when Sons of Anarchy came out, you ever watch Sons of Anarchy?
Oh yeah, I love the first season. The rest of it was okay. It has my favorite ending of any series.
Oh yeah, no, it has its moments. It's done by the same guys that did The Shield, which you've never watched, and I hate you for it. Anyway, yeah, when you start hearing the narrated voice of Jax's father, that's the guy that did Kristoff's voice. So the first time that we watched the first episode of Sons of Anarchy, and suddenly the voiceover comes over, and my friend and I, super duper Vampire the Masquerade fans and played Redemption all this, suddenly we start hearing Jax's father talk, we're like, Jax's father was Kristoff? It was great. I'm like, I know that voice. I know that voice anywhere. That's Kristoff Romuald. Oh, man. Oh,
Walter,
so nice.
you had Booger right the first time. The second one is Bugger, and in certain places, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah, in London town, that's a whole different activity. Whole different activity.
Yeah.
Well, with that being said, I am decidedly past my bedtime, and you're probably streaming soon. I wouldn't be surprised.
I've actually been streaming more in the morning time.
The actual morning?
Actual morning for me.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's true. It's for you. You're elsewhere. But I do, unfortunately, need to get to sleep because I do have work in the morning. So, Monkey, for anybody here that doesn't have any idea who you are, and I'm sure there's no one, but anyway, on the off chance anybody in the future is listening to this, who are you and what do you do and what do you have going on?
I am an old man on the internet that likes to yell about stuff, and I do it pretty much daily. That's all. On my channel, Ranting Monkey. Going to see the girls this weekend. I haven't seen my daughter's girls in a while. There's 3 of them now, Scribbles.
Yeah, I know. You got, what, 5 granddaughters?
You know, yeah. Little Butt is 10.
Oh, jeez. You know, her voice is still what introduces every one of my streams, saying, "Hi, Squide." I still have. Do you see on my Twitter the pinned tweet is her writing my name from 2018 or whatever?
Yep. Yeah, she's all grown up and stuff, and even the youngest one is almost a year old.
Time, man,
Time flies.
As for myself, guys, tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern is the next episode of TED Excellence, where I take a look at off-brand TED Talks for education and entertainment. Tomorrow night's special is You Have to See It to Be It, or, as the real title of the presentation goes, The Mirror in the Classroom, Why Black Male Teachers Matter. I already have a couple of guesses from my past experience with this kind of material as to what those matterings might be. Would you like to know what they are? Well, I'll tell you tomorrow night, and we'll see if my psychic predictions are correct. But yeah, so be here on 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern tomorrow to find out about that. You want to hear some of the other topics I didn't do this week, Monkey?
I do, but before you get to there, I just want to say I went through the school system, and if representation is that important, I'm screwed, because I can count on one hand how many white male teachers I had. Yeah,
you ain't just whistling Dixie. Yeah, most of mine were women, and a good chunk of them were not white women. So I guess I'm messed up. But topics I didn't choose for this week, but may choose in the future: how to turn AI prompts into movie magic.
Jesus.
Why I never gave up with 6 kids at 22.
Yeah. Okay.
I hope it was 3 rounds of twins or 1 round of sextuplets. But anyway, is there consciousness beyond the brain?
What?
And lastly, what if your dog could FaceTime you? It'd be a boring conversation.
It's a dog. I almost sent you a video for your series, but it's not an actual TED Talk.
Oh.
It's this female comedian.
Ooh.
And she's actually running for Congress. What the hell's her name? I saw her on Piers Morgan, and I looked her up, and it turns out she has a comedy special on her YouTube page.
Oh
and I'm telling you, it's not a comedy special; it's a fucking TED Talk.
I'd be wary of using that in case I get a copyright claim or something.
Yeah. I will send it to you, and then you can make your decision on it. Because the reason I covered like 10 seconds of it because I'm like, this is probably somebody who's going to hit me.
Right.
So, but I want you to just at least watch the first 5 minutes and tell me it's not a TED Talk.
Sure. I'm more than happy to. If anybody else, I was thinking about this the other day. I would challenge anyone to say that there is another person on YouTube who has watched more TED or TEDx talks than me. I think I may indeed be the grandmaster of TEDx talk watching on all of YouTube. That's the only thing I think I can claim right to, save for the people that actually have to edit these things. But as a singular source, I gotta say, I think I've seen enough of them now. I can spot one, or spot an attempt at one. And Tandemar says, I found Scribe through Monkey. How far through him did you go?
Oh, she might have taken down the video after I made fun of her.
What? No,
I'm powerful, y'all.
Or privated it or something. I've had that happen a couple of times. Like a couple of videos I covered, like this only went private. But fortunately, I had the original links, and so even though they like unlisted them, I can still get to them.
Yeah, I can find it on my Twitter because I tweeted out about it too.
Oh man, I especially love it when corporations hide their old diversity videos, and I still have the original links. That's happened a couple of times. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, I still have this. Haha. But anyway, Freakfro, Sleep Well Scribe, thank you so much, Freakfro. Appreciate it. And anybody else? Scribe Light Masochist. Well, it's true. I do throw myself into it willingly. But the bingo card is there to try to make some kind of sense of it. So there you go. Anyway, everybody, I am off to bed. He's Ranting Monkey. Thank you so much for joining me, Monkey, to nerd out about Vampire the Masquerade and its various incarnations.
Mm-hmm.
I had forgotten that you were a fan, if I ever knew it, and so I apologize, but I have Swiss cheese memory like Sam Beckett.
Dude, it's been one forever since we talked, so always happy to do that. But two, we haven't discussed this, I think, since the announcement for Bloodlines 2.
I must not have been. Yeah, it's been so long.
7 years ago we talked about
It's true. But no, we got to hang out more.
Indeed.
I gotta find a way to be awake when you're awake or do something or other, but
I need to find a way to be awake when I'm awake.
Oh, but before we go, guys, by the way, and I sorry to keep dragging this out. I know this is turning into Return to the King as far as endings go. But just in the last few days, our friend Satsu 2 Cents has started bottling his spices, and they're actual like spice bottles now for purchase on Etsy. And so in case you are a foodie or a cook or somebody who likes spices for their food, just please take a moment and listen to this. This is my friend Satsu, aka Chef Tyrone, founder, owner, and CEO of Oishi Fried Chicken LLC, featuring a new line of signature spice mixes. Chef Tyrone's homemade blends are the perfect gateway to delicious fried chicken or any other protein you might prefer. These recipes were painstakingly tested in Tyrone's home kitchen to bring you all the fantastic flavors you and your family can enjoy. The current flavor lineup includes original, spicy, lemon garlic herb, barbecue rub, and taco seasoning. You can buy individual packs of your favorite flavors or save some money with a variety bundle, all through the online store. And Oishi Fried Chicken ships nationwide. Go to www.oishifc.com and order today. So there you go, guys. Oishi Fried Chicken, and now it's not packets so much as they are in actual bottles with labels and stuff. So that, guys, is the show. Let me know what you thought or what you think about the oncoming Vampire Bloodlines game. And please, before you leave, also leave a like. And please take a look at or share the link to the Leukemia Lymphoma Society donation page. And also, if you're not already, check out Ranting Monkey and subscribe to his channel and like his stuff and share it out there on whatever social media platform you enjoy, like ICQ or AOLIM or Google Buzz or Napster, Friendster, LiveJournal, Lycos, I don't know, GeoCities, whatever you like, Angel Fire. There's a blast from the past. Mm-hmm. Everyone, have a good rest of your, whatever's remaining of your Wednesday night. Hope to see you tomorrow for TED Excellence. Moderators, thank you for keeping an eye on things, even though everyone here is so well behaved. You have very, very little to do. Everybody who donated, either to myself or to the donation page at the top of the chat box, thank you guys for your generosity. Very much appreciate it. And otherwise, everyone, I hope you're all safe and well. If you're not well, please get well soon. And I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.